Hello everyone, Dan 14th Prime here. Today I want to check out with you guys the Hot Toys Avengers Infinity War Thor figure here. Very cool figure. If you're interested in checking out the box and the pack out in this figure, check me out on Instagram. Same handle, Dan 14th Prime. If you're interested in picking this figure up, which I'll tell you straight out of the gate, I recommend, check the link in the description below. Jumps you out to Sideshow. You can get your order in there. He's pre-order to in stock now. Any shopping you do through those links supports the channel at no cost to you. It's very much appreciated if anything on the channel or these reviews help you at all. So got this guy about a week ago, finally getting around to doing a review. I've got him fully decked out here. Really, really fantastic figure. My first Thor figure. I'm not a classic fan of Thor in the sense of comic books and things like that. But the movies have exceeded my expectations, and he was a beast. He was a beast in Infinity War, and I think this get-up with Thor is just like epic, you know? And the figure is amazing in terms of all the looks you can get from this piece. And also some new tech putting in with LED light-ups through the chest, and also some ultraviolet light-up eyes. So all kinds of goodies with this figure. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, let's go in closer. We'll keep him sort of spinning just so we can check everything out easily, sort of waist up. See, very cool, like chainmail arms. He comes with swap out bare arms as well. We'll take a look at those. I've got him all decked out with his electrical effects, which are really cool. 6 of them in the chest, and then 1 on each arm as well. These are kind of a pain in the butt to get in there. We'll go in reverse order. I'll show you how it works, but little pegs there. You know, when he's not lit up, black covers that pop out to put these effects in. And then, of course, those will light up with LEDs, which we'll see. Nice cape, you know, lots of pleats and things in the back. Of course, no wires, typical Hot Toys, so you don't really get dynamic looks with the cape, unfortunately. The chest armor looks really great. A lot of good detail through there. It's sort of going for that, I don't know if it's like a thick leather or sort of what that is, but you see all kinds of details. You can see just sort of molded in there, and there are some removable pieces as well when we get around to swapping some of that out. So really like this. Super aesthetically a pleasing figure. Probably the one knock, and we'll get into it. Articulation is not great. That's probably the one area you'd say, man, I'd like to really get this guy in some poses, but you're really limited in some areas, particularly the head with that big collar. And then sort of like the hip, thigh articulation as well. And then because of this thick armor here, kind of plasticish or something, you don't really get much through the, or anything really, through the torso, and even waist is pretty difficult as well. So pretty limited articulation, but the aesthetic look is awesome. Let's jump in here on the head sculpt. It's pretty good. I mean, I like it. I think it's good. Oddly, my wife said it doesn't really look like him, and she would be a Chris Hemsworth fan more than I. I think she thought the hair was maybe a bit too dark. And I don't know, you know, the expression, the likeness is there. It's good. It's probably not their best likeness. When I think of some figures recently, I pulled them off the shelf. I've got them right now next to Tom Holland Spider-Man tech suit. You know, the Tom Holland head sculpt's a better likeness of Tom Holland than this is of Chris Hemsworth, but it's still very good. He's got this kind of stoic, you know, look, as we often get from Hot Toys. It'd be cool if we had like a second head. I mean, to give a scowling or sort of battle face, because this face doesn't work for all these types of action and dynamic poses you'd like to be having him in. But you can check out the head sculpt. I mean, as always with Hot Toys, it's phenomenal. He's got the lines in the hair. Ears look really good. The hair's all sculpted in there and painted. The beard looks really good. Of course, the eyes are like their thing. And it's a very, very good likeness. I'm happy with it overall. But just funny that my wife was like, it doesn't really look like him. Okay. Do a quick spin around here of the lower half just so you can check it out. He's got like the black pleather pants on, which are what's severely limiting the thigh or hip articulation. You can see the bottom of that cape with all the nice pleating work that's done in there. The boot is 2 separate pieces, so you get a free ankle movement down there as well. We'll do some up and down pans to take a look at this as well, but just giving you the up close spin. And overall, the wardrobe and everything and the look and the aesthetics, I think, is really, really cool and very well done. We'll do some quick pans and once-overs, just holding them still versus rotating, just so you can check out some of these specific details a bit better. Again, head sculpt very good. Comes down into this armor. He's got, the neck collar and the full black body armor torso. You can see the chainmail-like arms there, which are very cool. It's got like these wraps, which are separate pieces that float on the arms and in between the hands, up on the forearm there. Hands we'll get into. We'll get into Stormbreaker, of course. And then the pants, some like lines, just a lot of vertical lining detail. Overall, just kind of black, and then down into the boot. You'll see it a bit better here straight on. So you can see some of those vertical line details. And there's like patches, on the knees, on the inner thigh, on the outer thigh, that kind of break that up and give a different sort of texture and design in the pants. But again, definitely that pleather type material. And then, the boot here, it's got some accents up through here and some wear on the top. And then it separates a separate piece there at the ankle. Profile here, which definitely looks good in terms of just the proportions and, the build of the figure. Got the big shoulders still. Got the big king kind of collar thing there with the cape clasped underneath. Definitely kind of lean and muscular type build. The arms and that chainmail looks really good. Getting down into the wraps in the hands. Now let's kind of pull his arm back there so you can look sort of inside of that torso. All that nice molding carries through. You can see the inside of the cape. It's a nice, thick, heavy cape. It's got like a gray backing there. Nice fabric. There's some of that texture on the leg that I mentioned, where you get some different patches on the outside and the inside. Sort of break that up. And you see the boot a bit better in terms of some of the detail accents, really kind of up towards the front of that boot. So definitely some nice looking pants. They just, like any leather pants, really, really tight. Then here's a look at this cape. Lots of pleats coming off the shoulders here. Some design pattern really on the edge. A light kind of black design into the edge of the cape. You can pull it out a bit. Pleats go all the way down. Just wish it had a wire, really, as we always do with Hot Toys. And here quickly, just in terms of how that goes into the back of the shoulder, this is like a piece, and we'll get into it for different looks. Of course, the cape can come off, but really nice looking armor piece there. Texturing around the back of the neck and some nice molding that sort of fits with the overall texture and look of the body armor across the torso. Very, very nice. Well, I've got them decked out. Let's also do the light up gimmick, of course. Back of the figure here, of course, it's dark because I'm getting ready for the light up gimmick, but easily accessible switch, like shockingly. Hot Toys never makes that easy. So I love that. You can get to the switch. Boom, the LEDs are strong. Wish they would push a bit more light, like through the lightning. Obviously, you see it's mainly coming off the chest. And then if we do black lights on the eyes here, there we are. I've got like a black flashlight. Check out my Amazon page. I'll link that in the description below as well. It's in the other stuff I've purchased lately section, but a black flashlight there, and you get the glow in the inside of the eyes. And this also just creates a cool effect actually across all of the lightning effects too. This black light sort of puts a big purple color tone across everything because it's like a flashlight like this. I've used a big bar, normal black light, which doesn't put as much, light push out, and it's more subtle. You don't have that big casting of color across him. So that's probably a better option, but this is sort of more convenient. I would say black lights use UV, so I thought about I'll put a black light up in the detail off and be able to turn that on when I want. Wouldn't recommend it because UV is like sunlight, the type of light that's going to damage the figure, fade the figure if it's on for extended periods. So you really just kind of want to be in and out of there. So you probably don't want to have one in your DTOF, running in extended periods on the figure. But that's how you get that gimmick out. Okay, let's check out some of this guy's accessories. Actually, you're seeing a lot of them, so let's actually reverse engineer him, put it back into his non-accessorized mode. These pieces just pop off. These are pretty easy to manage. It's the black caps. Of course, I say that, and I'm going to struggle with this piece. It's the black caps where you really have like nothing to hold on to and are quite difficult. So these just kind of pop out. There's like 3 pegs in there. Nothing too bad. You pop all those out, you get this look. Let's go ahead and just pop off the hands, because that's what you got to do to get these. Of course, mine's just coming out at the wrist peg, not the hand peg. That's how you get these pieces off. And again, the form gauntlets float. Again, it's taking the whole dang peg out. So those float and come off, and you'll want them off because we're going to go ahead and put the nude arms on. So we've done all that, and then these arms, they're really just in there on a peg. So pop that out of there. See how that works. Ball peg. Socket deep in there. So nothing really too special about popping them out. My left one seems to come out easy. Okay, had to bring him in closer in to get that done. But then these underarms or under chest pieces pop off as well. In this whole collar section pops off. Watch the neck. Might even want to just do that. Take that straight up. So, yeah, lots of interchangeable pieces. I mean, we've broken the figure down to this. I mean, it's practically like DX if we just had an extra head sculpt, because you really do get two different looks with this figure. Then if we start to put them back together, we're going for basically that opening scene look, where he kind of looks like a pirate. We want to put the black parts back in, try and do this from behind the camera if I can. There's a certain way they'll go, because there's like 2 skinny posts and a thick post. So you just want to see how that should work. Line them up and tab it in accordingly. Kind of like thick post is sort of down there. Here, thick post is, inside, let's say, like right there. Same over here. It's kind of like the inside post. And same on the bottom. Thick post is like the inside. Works best if you get the thick post sort of angled in first, and then you push in the 2 smaller ones, because they have more of like a snap to them. This one oddly looks different. The thick post is kind of angling out to the left. There we go. So yeah, when you go to get those lightning effects in, you've got to pop those things out, which is difficult. I wouldn't recommend trying to use tweezers or anything, pliers or anything that might be tempting. Really just jiggle it, wiggle it with your hands, so you don't damage anything. And from here we put, again, the alternate chest armor on. So this is different set than what we just took off, of course, otherwise we wouldn't have taken it off, with the cape. And you can see it just tends to be, the cape piece, for whatever reason, is like a bit of a shorter piece. This extends down a bit lower in the abdomen area. We also get a different collar piece. Of course, no cape on this one. Tabs in the shoulder, make that go in. Of course, no cape back there. Compare that with this look. Again, this goes down much further. Actually covers then the battery switch compartment that's typically would be held or covered behind the cape, on the presumption that you're not going to use that with this look. Next, we've got the bare arms here. So I'll just put one up there. Everyone's fear, these things just don't last. They wear out, they crease, etc. So, be careful. I expect they'll sort of behave the same. They look great, but yeah, I don't know. It's like, who wants to be the brave soul to bend that thing for a few days and see if it lasts or not. Won't be me. But you can also see some fine hair. It's really kind of like sketched in there, sculpted in, just super, super fine. Trying to show you that, but that is really fine, but hopefully you can pick up a bit of what I'm talking about. And overall, just like great anatomy sculpting on this, you know, just like the muscles and the forearms, elbow. Look at the elbow right there. Of course, the big shoulders, the delts. Hemsworth doing lots of lateral raises for his contract, I'm sure. So those just plug back in where they came from, or the other set came from. We got that in, We'll come back upstairs here and put the head sculpt back on. And actually here back at the bottom, go ahead and swap these around. Put the form guards back on. There's kind of like a lip. You know, one side's just a smidge longer. That slightly longer side is kind of like the, you know, back of the wrist side. So put it on the outside. And then just plug his hands back in. So this is almost the finished look, let's say. I did the hands offline. I will say he comes with some extra nude toned wrist pegs. Use those and just keep them in these arms so you're not swapping wrist pegs around. I actually broke one of the black ones that came with these arms, and they were super tight fit in there. I think they should be the same, but man, it was tight. I was like pulling out the inner peg socket almost. It was crazy. So we got that situated, but maybe to avoid that, just keep a nude pair parked in there. And yeah, this looks really good, right? This is sort of the beginning of the movie. We'll get to the eye patch in a minute, but there you can check out those arms on there. They look really good. And again, when you put those on, I recommend just dressing up the arm all the way through, the hand, the gauntlet, do all that first, and then go into that socket, because oddly, that socket's easier and has less tension than some of these wrist joints, at least on mine. So if you try to do it on the figure, it just keeps popping out of the socket anyway. This is a cool look. Again, we're dang near DX here because we're getting really two totally different figures, two totally different looks. So let's check out this eye patch to finish the look. I will say this guy, I've had a bit more standing problems with this figure than others. And I think it's because he's got your typical ankles, let's say, of a soft, good figure, but with all the lights and the batteries and stuff in here, or at least the electronics, he's really torso heavy. Makes him a bit tougher to stand. But yeah, to complete this look here, I do this from behind the camera as well. He's got a magnet on that right eye, and you get a couple eye patches. So there's one, and that one's, I guess, I don't know, I was going to say battle damage, but maybe that's the look. I'm not sure what these specific scene differences, honestly, between the two patches. I've mentioned, you know, if we get a separate head sculpt, but you kind of, you know, you get a different look with the eye patch. Though I'd still like to have a snarling battle type expression for this guy. Now they do say don't keep the eye patch on because it could transfer color onto the face. Again, unfortunately, because you think, well, maybe you could hold him in this look and have him out there. Well, it probably says would not advise that because you might end up with a black eye or something on this guy. Here's the other eye patch. So yeah, I mean, they are different. It's just like it's such a small little thing. I never paid enough attention probably to know what is the difference between those two. But you get two options, which kind of creates the second head sculpt look, which again, I mean, this figure really transforms. When we come all the way back here then, you know, you get the space pirate beginning of Infinity War look. I mean, this is a nice looking figure too. The nude arms look fantastic. Really lifelike. Great musculature in there. Great athletic build, but not too exaggerated. I mean, it's like a real athletic build, not like, you know, Deadpool, which I sort of complained about in one of my more recent reviews. So that's a bit more realistic. And I think how Chris Hemsworth sort of looks. So, I mean, it's super cool. So really, really interesting. Just wish we could keep the eye patch on there. Okay, we're getting on home stretch here. Here's the stand. I like it. I mean, it's actually like a more efficient little footprint. You know, those other ones kind of come out to here. But this I kind of like. I typically don't use the stands because they are so just kind of big and clunky, but this is going to be the typical Infinity War stand. Yeah, I can make use of that. And he comes with a dynamic pull, so it's great. So you can put him in the air. And it's pretty stable. I think it's got like a weight right here that they insert in, such that when you really think you could tip this thing over, only backwards is really the way it's the only way it's really susceptible. It's a pretty sturdy stand. Again, let's take a look at that. Avengers Infinity War there, Thor right there. Of course, let's not forget our Thanos killing kind of axe. Stormbreaker here looks really good. A lot of detail. You got the Groot arm with a nice wood texture to it. Grainy black wash in it. Got some wraps and things like that. Got a little leaf down here. So that looks very cool. And then you come up here into the hammer. Again, a lot of detail in here. I've heard people say, well, it's probably more than what was there in the movie, but that's okay. You get a couple colors there with like a gunmetal-ish, and then sort of brighter silver. Just all kinds of texture or molding detail in there. Even on the end of the hammer. And then up top, you even get a little bit as well, a little bit of the finish of the Groot coming through. So it's cool. It's big enough, I think. Who knows what size this thing's supposed to be when it's in Thanos? It should be enormous, really. But I think it's a pretty good scale to the character. I mean, look at that. It's like as big as his torso, basically. Big enough, I think. If we tick through hands here, we get a pair of fists, which look good, and you can see like the veins and stuff like that molded on the back. Fingers, nice wrinkling and stuff through the thumb and the grip. So those look good. Get a pair of hands to hold a Stormbreaker. Again, nicely done. Just a slight grip in there. A set of those. We've got these next ones on the figures, so I'll just show you one here, but you'll get the gist. You get this kind of softer open hand. And then you get this even more open, almost force push kind of looking hand, but look at that in the palm. On the fingers, just really, really awesome detail in there. And let's not forget articulation, because I was complaining about it a bit. Again, this big collar here, it's just gonna, whack right there, right? His jaw starts to come in contact with that, so you just can't push that. Otherwise, you're gonna be damaging putting wear on the face. So you really got to look out for that. Side to side is limited for that collar. And even the down, not fantastic. I'd say it's good enough. I mean, the ball joint, you really just get it up top. I'd say the neck is even, head likes to pop off. The neck is even just, see, there's really nothing really down in this neck either. So what you get is really just like what's up here on the ball peg. The arms here, very nice in terms of lateral raise. It's great. I think they come down along the side pretty nicely as well and lay there. In terms of putting them back, again, you saw what was in there just in terms of that ball, right? So I think that's all pretty good. You just want to watch wear, of course, but pretty good movement there. The elbow, solid 90 degrees is pretty good. Again, these are just like, don't hold them there probably. You gotta take your picks and get out if that's what you do, at least photography. These arms are about the same. I would say it's a bit tougher even to get that 90 degrees. Probably a bit less, actually. You get a nice ratchet in there. And then you just kind of get the typical hand articulation of Hot Toys, so I won't spend a lot of time there. Now the torso, like I said, is like, it's just hard plastic all the way through, so there's nothing in there. And then even on the waist, I find it a bit limited, talking like 10, 15 degrees maybe each way. Pretty limited. And then when you come down into the legs, again, it's the pleather, right? So there's not a ton there. That's not terrible, but it's not a ton. You got like a swivel or something up there, so you can sort of get a little bit of rotation at the hip. but you really cannot get this leg up as much as I'd like. It just sort of pulls on the butt and sticks. So you think you might want that straight out for like some flying poses, or even just when you're trying to come down with the Stormbreaker axe, you know, swing that thing around. You're just not going to get as much as you probably want. The knee is okay, so that's sort of what you have to settle for. You know, like I had them at the beginning of the video, you're kind of more like using the outward movement and a little bit forward in the knee like that, you know, to try to get your leaping flying effect. And then again, like I said, it separates down here, so you're fine at the ankle and all that. So, you know, that's the articulation. It has its limitations because of the tech, you know, they're putting into the body. And then just the overall look of the figure with the armor and stuff like that, and the pants. So it's really the only downside, in my opinion, of this figure. So there you have it, guys. Hot Toys Movie Masterpiece Series 474 Infinity War Thor. Trying to show you at least a bit of a dynamic pose here, but it looks funny from this angle. It's not very good, sorry. But very cool figure. Again, link in the description below if you're interested in picking this thing up. You know, if the review or anything on the channel is ever helpful to you, easiest way to say thanks is hop through those links and pick up your figures, do your shopping. Supports the channel at no cost to you and is very much appreciated. But to recap, again, I still love the figure. I'm not a classic Thor fan, like I said. The movies have probably, on average, exceeded my expectations, though Ragnarok starts to get a little wonky with some of that humor that they keep using him. But this guy was a total beast in Infinity War, and really love the character there. So, and this figure just like delivers all of that at a high level aesthetically, and also just the flexibility of the character to get all the different looks throughout the course of the movie. Just really awesome. You know, the tech's in it now. You get the light up LEDs, you get the light up eyes with the black light. So bringing things like that into the figure, I think step it up a notch. So again, my first Thor figure, because I'm not a huge fan of them, but from what I've seen and comparatively, I'd say this is probably the Thor to have. And despite the price, I think you get good value for the money. It's a more expensive soft good figure, but it's because of all the tech and because of all the swap outs. So I think the value for money is there. Link in the description below, again, to pick it up. Again, only complaints or only opportunity to improve this figure is articulation, because it's just so darn limited in the head neck area because of that big collar mainly, in the torso because of that thick armor, in the hips because of those pleather pants. All right, guys, thanks for checking in. Thanks for checking out the video. I'll see you next time.